Welcome to Talk Tickers, the deep dive. This week, we're looking at a key acquisition that really shook up the medical device sector earlier this year. But more than that, we're digging into the incredibly advanced tech that makes these big deals happen in the first place.
Exactly. We're going to connect a $160 million price tag to the very real clinical problem of, managing the patient during and after these huge catheter-based procedures.
So let's start with the event itself. Back in April 2024, Haemonetics Corporation closed a pretty significant deal.
A very significant one. They paid $160 million for a company that specializes in temperature management technology.
Okay, so let's start there. Haemonetics. Who are they, for anyone who doesn't follow this space closely?
They're a giant. Founded in Boston way back in 1971, they are a global player in everything related to blood and plasma.
So we're talking blood collection, processing.
Everything. From their donor products, which automate how blood is collected, all the way to their surgical products. And that's where this gets interesting. Their whole surgical division is focused on managing blood loss during an operation.
And they're big. What was it, like $1.3 billion in revenue for fiscal 24?
That's right. So they're not a small fish.
Yeah.
And they just spent $160 million on a company called Attune Medical,
which is based in Chicago, and they make temperature regulation devices. At first glance, that might seem a little random. Blood management and temperature control.
But it's not random at all. It's actually a brilliant strategic move. Think about it. Haemonetics already gives surgeons tools to manage blood volume, to monitor how fast blood is clotting with their TEG 6S systems, and to salvage blood during a procedure.
Okay.
So what's another huge risk in major surgery, especially when there's significant blood loss? Hypothermia. The patient's core temperature dropping.
Ah, right. So they're shoring up the perimeter, so to speak.
Exactly. They're building a complete surgical ecosystem. If you're the company managing a patient's blood, it makes perfect sense to also manage their temperature. It makes their offering to the operating room that much more essential.
So if blood and temperature are two pillars of patient stability, what's the third?
That's the third, and you could argue the most technically challenging pillar, sealing the hole you made to get in there in the first place.
The access site. So how do you seal up these massive holes that are left behind after some of these modern procedures?
And this is where the engineering gets really, really intense. Procedures like TAVR, that's transcatheter aortic valve replacement, or aneurysm repairs, they're amazing.
Right. Minimally invasive.
Minimally invasive, but they require huge catheters. We're talking access sites up to 26 French.
Okay, you have to ground that number for us. How big is a 26 French hole?
It's big. The French scale is a measure of diameter. So 26 French is about 8.7 millimeters, almost a full centimeter.
Wow, that's a huge puncture. And it's in a major artery, usually.
Usually the common femoral artery, right in the groin. It's a high flow, high pressure environment. And traditionally, a hole that big meant one thing.
A surgeon had to physically cut down and sew it shut.
Exactly. More trauma, longer recovery, higher risk of infection. And avoiding that is what's driving this whole market for what are called advanced vascular closure devices, or VCDs.
Which brings us to companies like Vivasure Medical and their device, the PerQseal Plus A.
Right. This is the kind of high-tech solution we're talking about. Its entire purpose is to replace that big surgical repair with a tiny deployed device.
And can handle these big punctures.
Oh, yeah. It's indicated for femoral artery punctures from sheaths that are 14F up to 22F, and it can seal the actual arteriotomy, the cut in the artery, up to 26F. It's serious hardware.
So this is where the science gets really cool. What are they actually leaving inside the body to seal a hole that big?
Well, this is the key. The seal is completely bio-absorbable. There's nothing permanent left behind.
Nothing. No metal clips, no sutures.
Nothing. The device delivers a tiny implant. It's less than 116 milligrams, and it seals the hole from both inside the artery and outside. The material is called a polydioxanone. It's a synthetic polymer that the body just breaks down over time.
So it's not like a plastic plug or anything. It literally disappears.
It disappears. The body breaks it down into things like carbon dioxide and other non-toxic components that are just eliminated through your normal metabolism.
That's incredible. So what's the timeline on that? How long does it stick around?
It's perfectly timed for healing. It keeps its mechanical strength for the first, few weeks. Then it starts losing function at around day 40.
Which is when the artery has had time to heal itself naturally?
Precisely. And total absorption is complete around 180 days. After that, the vessel wall is just clean. No foreign material left.
So what does the data say? How does this stack up against, the old way of doing things, manual pressure or that surgical cut down?
The benefits are huge. Based on studies like Frontier V, you see a much, much faster time to hemostasis stopping the bleeding.
Which means the patient can get up and out of the hospital faster.
Much faster. Compared to manual compression, where they might have to lie flat for hours. This is a game changer for hospital efficiency.
Okay, so what's the catch? If it's so much better, why isn't every hospital using these for every procedure? Is it cost? Training?
It's a bit of everything. There's definitely a cost to the device itself, but you have to weigh that against the savings from a shorter hospital stay or, more importantly, avoiding a major complication.
Like a huge hematoma or something worse?
Right. But the other big factor is training. The fine print on how to use these devices is incredibly strict. You can't just hand one to a doctor who hasn't been specifically trained.
Let's talk about that fine print, because if you're putting an implant inside a major artery, you have to get it right. What are the big rules?
Rule number 1 is location, location, location. The puncture has to be in a very specific spot on the common femoral artery.
And if it's too high?
If it's too high, say above the inguinal ligament, you can't use it, period. The risk is a catastrophic complication called a retroperitoneal bleed.
That's where it bleeds back into the abdominal cavity, right?
Exactly. A bleed you can't see and can't easily control. It can be fatal.
And you can't go too low either.
Nope. It has to be in the common femoral artery, not the superficial femoral or the profunda femoris. Putting it in the wrong branch vessel risks tearing the artery, what's called a dissection, or other major issues.
Okay, so anatomy is critical. What about the patient's blood?
Also critical. They measure something called the activated clotting time, or ACT, right before they deploy the device.
And if it's too high?
If the blood is too thin, if the ACT is over 350 seconds, you can't use it. The device can't overcome that lack of natural clotting, and the patient could have a massive bleed.
So you're threading a very, very fine needle, perfect anatomy, and perfectly balanced blood coagulation.
That's the sweet spot. And even when you hit it, you're still watching for the standard risks.
Bruising, hematoma,
pseudoaneurysm, infection, maybe some narrowing at the site or clots. The incidence is lower, but the risks are never zero.
So moving forward, this isn't just an arterial thing, is it? The market's expanding.
Right. The complexity is growing on the venous side to procedures that access the common femoral vein, and that requires a whole new type of device.
Which makes sense. You see all this growth in structural heart repairs, circulatory support systems.
Exactly. And that's why Vivasure is already developing the PerQseal Elite, which is designed specifically for large whole venous closure.
And we're talking about the same kinds of procedures.
Even bigger in some ways. Things like catheter-based mitral valve repair, leadless pacemaker implants, or
ECMO.
Extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. That's a massive circulatory support system. The cannulas for that are huge.
They are. And this device is targeting sheath sizes up to 24 French for those procedures.
Wow. So what are the early studies telling us about the venous version?
There's a safety and performance study recruiting right now, about 40 subjects. And again, the rules are incredibly tight.
I imagine so.
The patient's femoral vein has to be at least 7 millimeters in diameter, and their ACT has to be less than 250 seconds this time. Very, very precise criteria.
So whether it's an artery for a TAVR or a vein for ECMO, the core idea is the same. The future of surgery depends on these hyper-specialized little devices to keep the patient stable.
Exactly. And that brings us right back around to where we started, to Haemonetics buying a temperature company for $160 million.
It all connects.
It all connects. The future is less invasive surgery, but that requires more and more complex ancillary tech. Whether it's managing blood, temperature, or sealing a massive hole, the big players are consolidating these technologies to build a complete platform.
So any company that has a truly unique, a truly proprietary solution to one of these hard problems,
they become an irresistible acquisition target. Innovation in surgical access isn't a side story anymore. It's a multi-billion-dollar strategic imperative.
That's a really powerful way to connect the dots. Temperature control and bio-absorbable seals are really two sides of the same coin. Patient stability. Okay, so given that clear trend towards consolidation, I have an outrageous but plausible trade idea for you.
All right, lay it on me. Give me the acquisition thesis.
So if the game is all about acquiring this irreplaceable niche anatomical expertise, here's the trade. You short the generalized surgical supplies ETF, the broad basket of companies making gloves and generic tools. At the same time, you go long on a hand-picked basket of hyper-specialized firms that only do large bore access closure.
So companies like Vivasure, assuming they were public, or others in that very specific niche.
Exactly. The bet is that the general market slogs along, but the intense specific expertise of these closure companies makes them high-premium takeover targets for the big guys. You're betting on the premium for solving the hardest problem in the room.
A pure consolidation play targeting the sharpest point of innovation. I like it. It's definitely provocative, and it follows the money.
And we have to say it every time. This is not financial advice. It is just a thought experiment based on the strategic chess moves we're seeing in the medtech space. Thanks for diving deep with us today.